I'm Zane Ferris, and we're going to do some mat yoga. And even if you don't have a mat, you can sit on the floor in a comfortable place. So what you need is a place to sit and something to sit on. I've got a little pillow, or maybe you have a blanket that your hips could be lifted. So let's get comfortable in a sitting position here. And at first, both legs are going to be extended out in front of you. So take a moment to put your hands on your legs. Your hands are just resting, and pull your spine up. Take some deep breaths. Release all tensions, your shoulders back and down, and the gaze of your eyes soft. Everything is a softening process. This position is called Janushirasana, and it's a single leg forward fold. So we're going to start with this. Your right leg is out, and your left leg on the inside here, folded. If you have any discomfort on this knee over here, you might want an object underneath there. It could be a towel or your sweater or another pillow, or maybe you do have a block. But make sure your knees, they're to be considered first. As you bring your low abdomen upward and begin to lean forward, if you have difficulty sitting up, the strength of your arms from and back will help the trunk of your body relax. So there's arm position number one. Arms in the back. This is a good starting point for everyone. It also helps your shoulders be drawn down from your collarbones. The next possible position for your arms is to reach forward, but it's best if you can really palm the ground and be in your arm strength. Because when your arms are strong, everything else can soften. Some other possible positions for Janushirasana. There's always reaching farther as the abdomen rises. There is reaching around your foot, holding the top, holding the sides. I'll show you a number of different ways to connect with your arm strength. Here's one of my favorites, is holding on the outside of the foot here. How about this hand? Get the opposing arm on the outside. Opens that shoulder blade over there. And then the other arm, the free arm, can insert between the toes to create this connection here, if you can see. This opens the tendons of your foot. You can move around a little bit. Every time you breathe out, take a long time. And here are some more. Maybe one of those is fine for you, or you can make up your own, but there's always reaching for a block. If you find that your reach extends beyond where the foot is. And good old yoga belt. See, there are so many options for this single leg forward fold. All right, so this would be about 2 minutes. You can do this every day as long as you don't overstretch. Let's put the other leg out there for a while. And while we're doing this, make sure that knee's comfortable. Sometimes one side of your body is very different from the other. Hips are level in the back. So about 2 minutes we're going to do. And make sure that you're never forcing anything. If you can just keep in mind the idea of a softening process, you'll proceed safely, naturally. So go slow. Arms in the back. Make sure that your neck is movable. You can take this opportunity to reach through the heel. You can spread your toes, all these things, but let's go through them. What were they? Arms in front, not a tentative touch, but a strong connection to your arm strength. Low abdomen rising up off your thigh. This stretches your hamstring, obviously, but many other places. The calf, here's that one that gets the shoulder blade, so good. We're obviously trying to do this without bending the knee. If you find that your knee bends a whole lot, you'll still get a good shoulder blade stretch on that part. But try and keep your legs straight and your thigh muscles relaxed. Here's that thumb hold, there's the stretch of the tendon, moving that big toe joint around. See this little stirring motion? This is a very important component of how things, any tightness, you want to break it up, but gently. It feels so good. So if you can reach beyond your foot, good old block. If you don't have a yoga belt to reach with you, if you have a robe that has a strap, like a belt to the robe, or a necktie, that can be used. Make sure and relax your neck. Use your arm strength to bring yourself up. And that was about 2 minutes on each side. So the name of that pose, in simple terms, single leg forward fold, in Sanskrit, Janu Shirsasana. We're going to do a different position now called the diagonal half lotus to open up the hip rotators on the side. If you do that early on in your practice, you'll be less likely to get cramps and discomforts that don't need to happen. So we're going to lean to what would be your right. So you're leaning to your right, and you're leaning way over. See, I'm shaped like the letter L. Just even that feels so good. When you put one foot over with the toes aiming up, you can then bring that ankle back. How far back depends on how much your knee allows it to bend here. Ideally, you bring it way back until your heel is up. See the spine really lifting. Look how much I'm leaning. I'm leaning so much that when it's time to bend this knee, it's easy to do. It's not going to be stuck on the ground. Diagonal line there. Keep your arm on the inside. And begin to sit up a little. One of my favorites. This should fit everyone of all levels. Because that you're allowed to really lean a whole lot. You could lean this much. Like, how many different angles are there to lean? Because they're all good. But there's one thing that we would all have in common. The strength of this arm, the spine lifting, and as this lifted hip, we kept a hip lifted, as that hip pulls back, your spine lifts and you lean forward. Maybe a little. Long exhales. This is for the hip rotators. This should be what would be in your left hip here, over here. Spine lifted. Watch when I draw that left hip back. We deliberately floated it off the ground. Watch that knee. It's like I drew a bow while leaning forward. Ah, so good. Your knees are pretty close to each other on this one. Please don't let your knees get really wide apart. I'll tell you how to know you've got it right. This whole ankle is beyond the thigh line. I can move my ankle in a circle. That's how you know you're in the half lotus zone. If you can sit all the way up, do. With both hips down. And that's the pose, Ardha Padmasana, the half lotus, but it's not particularly superior to these angles. These angles are where the cool stretches are. Okay, so we're going to come out of it and do the other side. And don't forget to have fun with it, because as you undo yourself, retrace your steps, you can always sneak a cool little stretch in there. Oh, it feels so good. And undo things carefully. I'm going to sit back up on that pillow. So if you have your hips lifted, it does help your low back. Make sure your thigh muscles are relaxed. In fact, they relax themselves. We're going to do the other side now. So you're leaning. You're very L-shaped. Your body's in a 90-degree angle. Look, I'm walking my hands way out there. You can put them way out there. You can lean way out there. But can you see I'm really on the side of what would be your left hip? All right? Try not to end up back here. Let's keep that L shape. Here comes that right foot over. The toes aim up. Your right hand draws the ankle back. And back. This knee would be invited to bend a whole lot right there. So don't do anything sudden. You might want to position your foot forward if you have to have less knee bend there. Ideally, you'd bring this heel back until it's off the ground. I'm leaning so much that it's very easy to bend that knee. See, that's not stuck on the mat. Doesn't get caught up. Diagonal line, ready to sit up a little. Please don't be in a hurry to get to the full half lotus. There's treasures and nutrients in every angle on the way there. More so even than the finished pose. So your spine's drawn way up. When you lift your spine, it just feels good inside. But this hip, this would be your right hip, it's floating off the ground on purpose. Leave it hovering. And as you draw it back, it's like you drew a bow. I'm going to do it again. Watch how that knee responds. It goes back too as you lean forward. I can't tell you enough how the strength of your arm is really important, because you don't want these muscles, the hips, the back, to tighten up and have to hold you up, because then how could they stretch? So the strength of your arm gives everything else permission to loosen up. I'm feeling like this right hip's really pulling away from the left one, leaning forward. Please, there's thousands of angles in there. Don't miss them. Explore it and have fun. But eventually, you do sit in half lotus if both hips can come down. There is a space under one knee in a half lotus. Your feet, if you look down, your feet are beyond your thigh bone, so your knees are not too far apart. Every time you breathe out, take a long time. The yoga practice is a chance to not be in a hurry. So savor these moments. We're going to come out of the diagonal lotus by leaning. And there's this reach that you could sneak in there. And now I've got the weight on both arms, no weight on the legs. I can move them easily because there's no weight on the legs. So here we are, back to this wonderful position. And now we're going to completely change it up by laying down on the abdomen. In fact, we're going to head toward laying on the abdomen. You can move things off your mat. We're going to head toward laying on the abdomen. But at first, how about this? This is you sitting on your left hip, and this would be your left arm reaching. So far, so good? All right, you're just kind of got your knees bent back there. You can put one knee right on top of the other. Now this arm, your right arm, has to hold you up. And your hands are far away from your hips. Can you lift your left arm? If you can, you're ready to go, because you're going to reach out, bring your knees up to your right arm, curl up in a ball. And this right hand holds your ankle, lift your foot, lift your knee, and pull it way back. And please try not to let go of your ankle. You can hold on. Feel the strength of your hand. There's a stretch of your thigh. You don't have to go beyond that point. If your stretch there is fine, but here's what the next thing would be. This leg straightens out. I'm going to get back in the middle of the mat here. And the whole time, the hand-ankle connection has to remain intact. Don't let go. Now this leg over here, that would be your left. Toes tuck, knee lift. This hand can push a little. And go tilting if you can. Make sure there's a nice flow of breathing happening. Neck relaxed. But the more you lean, you get right on that stretchy spot. And then when you're done, you let it go. To rest for a moment. And then hands by the ribs to press to a cobra pose. And press to a child's pose. So let's do the other side. In a short period of time, just 15 minutes a day, you can do all this. And if you do it every day, it really will help. This one is a very important one because I bet we've all been sitting a lot more than usual. But here you are, you're sitting on what would be your right hip. And this would be your right arm out there. See how the hands are far away from the hip? Transfer your weight into your left hand. Can you lift your right arm? If you can, you're ready to lean way out there. See, I'm just going to bend my elbow. Bring your knees up to your left arm. Left hand, hold the left ankle, lift the knee a little and pull it back. It should not aim upward, it just aims parallel to the ground. Press your chest forward, and here's the next part only if you're ready to do it, okay? Don't let go of your ankle. Hold on. Right leg straighten and come onto your abdomen and push with your right hand a little. Can you tuck your right toes, lift your right knee. The neck's movable always. And now we go leaning right on that intense, stretchy spot. Courageously get right on it. Feel where the stretch is and press that against the yoga mat. You can lean so much this other leg floats. It might not. You can always count your breaths if you don't want to look at a timer. Say 5 breaths on one side and 5 on the other. And we're gonna let it go now. Shoulders off the ground, elbows back. Inhale to the cobra pose. That's a deep breath in. And on the exhale, press back to your child's pose. And when you come up from there, kneeling if you can, maybe sitting on a block. To see how you feel. You could be sitting any way right now. You could sit cross-legged, kneeling, but just take a moment to notice how it feels to have done all that. And as a finishing touch, let us place our hands together in the gesture of connection. Namaste.